Kinski, Unit 8 test review. So I guess the first question I have for you is, bear with me as I get through some of this technology stuff. So can you tell me what congruent triangles means?
It's like when they have like the same three sides and the same angles.
Okay. Oops. So, I need to share my desktop with you. Should have done that. Okay. So, congruent triangles, you're correct. All right. They've got to have the same size sides, right?
Yeah.
And the same size or measured angles, okay? Angles, okay? Now, let me ask you this. That's one triangle right there, correct? You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, in the case of geometry, are these two triangles congruent?
Yes.
Why do you say that they are?
Because they're the same.
And you know that they're the same for how come?
Because you just copied and pasted it.
All right. You are correct in the real world. But for geometry purposes, what if I told you you're wrong? You'd be like, what do you mean wrong? I just saw you copy and paste them, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to tell you. When it comes to geometry, you actually have to have what we call tick marks in order to determine that triangles are the same. So you saw me copy and paste number 1, right, to number 2, okay? But what we have to have is we actually have to have tick marks that say that this line and this line are congruent, right? And this angle, okay, and this angle are congruent. And this line and this line are congruent. Bear with me, somebody was calling. And that angle and that, okay, that side. So we got 1, 2, 3. We got 1, 2. We got 1, 2, and 1 here and 1 here. Oh, actually, we'll do 3 there. Okay. So now, what we're going to do, so in order for us to have to be sure that triangles are congruent, they've got to have the same size, same sides, and the same angles. Okay, same size sides and same size angles. Make sense to you? Okay. So now, in this unit, all right. I just want to let's cancel out of here. Let's go liberal arts math. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna add Starsha on here. Bear with me 1 second. People and Star is going to come in also. Starsha, are you there? Oh. Starsha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Hey, you want to take part in the review?
Yeah.
All right. So I've got Kinski on the line. All right, and we're actually recording this. So I want to review this real quick with you. And we're going to go through his test. All right. But the first question is, I just put up here. You see my screen right now?
Yeah, I see. I see
Are-
the triangles.
Okay. So, what makes triangles congruent? How do you know they're congruent?
Oh, I didn't go through the review. I was trying to go through this review with you because I needed to learn it.
Okay. All right. So, when it comes to congruent triangles, right? Um, we can't automatically assume just because they look alike that they are congruent. So I just copied and pasted these two triangles, right? So this is triangle A and this is triangle B, okay? Now, they look alike, correct?
Yeah.
But in order for them, in the case of geometry, right? Um, we actually have to have tick marks, okay? We actually have to see, and I did it over here, so I'll just show you here. Like here, this side has one tick mark. You see that there, and this side here has one tick mark. So we know that that side is the same. Here, the angle tick mark, okay? You got one there, you got one there, right? So that's how we know whether or not triangles are congruent. So that's something to really emphasize and something for you to remember is to make sure that you know whether or not the make sure you actually see the tick marks. Okay, so now
All right.
let's go back. I was gonna go. All right, so here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to go through the actual individual quizzes because a lot of these questions are pulled from there anyway. So let's go back and let's look at the assignments. And all right, so the first one, right? Bear with me. I want to go here and I'm going to paste this over here just so I have it to refer back to. Okay. And now I'm going to go into grades and we will look at classwork and Kinski. So on 8.1, Kinski got an 80%. So let's take a look at that. Open link in new tab. All right. So the first thing is Kinski, you answered 72 here. How come you answered that X was 72?
Because of the tick marks.
And what do the tick marks tell you?
If it's 72 on that side, then it's probably 72 on the other side.
Okay. So the actual methodology there is this. It's called opposite angles or congruent sides. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay. So if I just pull that over into here, okay, I'll make this a little bit bigger. All right. So Starsha, you see these tick marks right here?
Yes.
All right. So that tells us that the sides are the same length, okay? And then the opposite angles are also the same size. So since we've got they're telling us that this one is 72 degrees, right? We now know that x equals 72. All right. So opposite angles from congruent sides are congruent. They're the same. All right. Now, here, how would you, the question here is find x. So how would you guys propose that we find x here? You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. What does this tick mark and this tick mark tell us?
Congruency.
The sides are the same length, correct?
Uh-huh.
So, in algebra, right, if those sides are the same length, how would we set up this equation to solve for x? Star, are you there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm there.
So how, if we need to solve for x, right, and we know that this side and this side are the same length, and we've got two equations, how would we solve for x? Going back to geometry.
Would you combine it to one equal big equation?
We would, okay, and it would be one equation. So essentially, this here, right, is going to be equal to this. So I say 2x minus 5 is equal to 5x plus 16, right? So if I move the 5 over to this side and move my x's over to this side, I've got 21 there and negative 3x divided by negative 3, divide by negative 3 on both sides, and I get x equals, I just want to make sure that I'm doing this correct, negative 7, okay? It's negative 7, right? Because 21 divided by, all right? So that's how we set that problem up right there. Make sense?
Yeah.
So when we're looking to find x, in that case, we know that they are congruent. So we're just going to set the equations up to each other. Now, all right, here's another one for you. All right, Kinski, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you answered 60, right? So let's take that out. Let's put it over here. And I'm going to make this bigger. All right, I'll move this over. So now, how many degrees, what do the three angles add up to in degrees in a triangle? Can anybody tell me?
180.
180, okay. All right, so this angle plus this angle plus this angle, okay, they're going to add up to 180. Now, you guys see these tick marks right here? What does that tell us?
That they're the same.
They're the same, okay? And you knew on question number 1, right, that if they're the same, right, If that's 66, what do you think this angle over here is?
66.
66, right? So now we've got 66 degrees there, right? And so we've got 66, and we've got x. How do you think we set up this equation, since we know that all three of these have to add up to 180?
Just you add them up.
Okay, and so tell me the equation. 180 equals what?
It's x plus x plus 66
Mm-hmm.
plus 66.
Plus 66, right? So now I've got one, or Control Z, Control Z. All right. So now I've got 180 equals x plus 66 plus 66 is 132, right? Now I'm going to subtract 132 here. I subtract 132 from this side. All right. And I get 48 there. And here we know that cancels out, right? So x equals 48. So 48 plus 132, or 48 plus 66 plus 66 is going to equal 180. So x equals 48. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple things to remember here. Opposite angles of congruent sides, they'll be congruent. Okay, they'll be the same. That's right here. Okay, boom. All right. Here, right, if we've got congruent sides and they're asking us to solve for x, and this is the actual length of x, all right, then we just set these equal to each other. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then down here, right, we've got three angles. We had congruent sides. The opposite angles are going to be the same. So we got 66 and 66 plus x equals 180. All right. So I think that's going to be about that. Oh, here, let's see. Which angles are congruent? You got that? I mean, J and S. Okay. So you knew that J and S, because they had single tick marks, they were equal, right? And then which sides are congruent, right? So you got VL and SU. So VL has 3 tick marks and SU has three tick marks. So the tick marks determine the length of it. So we're good there. Okay. So that's 8.1. Now 8.2. Let's open this. Oh, 1 second. So I got the speed grader, open link in new tab. So on this, right, what I want to do here is I just want to take out the two theorems that we're working with here are SSS or SAS and SSS. So I'll bring that down here. Now, what you guys are going to do is you're going to want to, before you retake this test, you're going to want to write out these letters, SAS and SSS, okay? And then you're going to want to do AAS and ASA. And I'm going to explain what those are real quick here. So now, so here we've got SAS and SSS. Can either one of you tell me what SAS stands for?
Side angle side.
Side angle side. That's exactly right, Kinski. Now, Star, can you tell me what SSS stands for?
Wait, hold on. I forgot, but I know it's side. Um, I forgot.
It's side, side, side.
Oh, I was about to say that, but I thought it was wrong.
No, hey, don't worry about being wrong. I'm not going to yell at you. It's all right. So now, Kinsey, you got this one right, but I'm going to show it just so you guys have a feel for it. All right. So I come in here, and we've got this first problem. All right. And we know what we need to do. State if the two triangles are congruent, and if they are, state why, or say why. Okay. And we know that in this unit 8.2, okay, we're looking for side angle side or side side side. So Starsha or Star, don't you hate when I call you your real name?
No, I don't hate it.
You're so much nicer when you're on the phone. In class, you get mad at me. All right.
No,
So
I
Star,
don't.
let me ask you this. We got 2 tick marks here. We got 2 tick marks here. What does that tell you about those 2 sides?
It's the same side.
They're congruent, right? Now, what if there was a third tick mark there? What if that had 3 and this one had 2? What would that tell you?
That the sides are not the same.
They're not the same, okay? So we got here, right? We've got a side, right? And here we've got a side, all right? So that is, we've got 2 options, but we just found one of the sides are congruent, right? Now, Kinsky, what does this single tick mark here and a single tick mark here mean?
That they're same side or same angle.
Same angle, right? So the angles are congruent. So you got SA. Which one do you think is going to prove that we're not all the way there yet, but which one do you think is going to prove that these triangles are congruent? You got one of 2 choices. SAS, right? Side angle side, okay? Now, here is the critical piece. Since these triangles are connected, all right, it's essentially a parallelogram or a rectangle with a divider. What do you think? Do you think that this line right here, this side for both of them, do you think that that's congruent?
Yes.
And why do you know it's congruent?
Because they're the same.
Because it's common. Now, a lot of times they're not going to give you your tick marks on that common side, right? But now you know that's common. So that third one right there, that is another side. Oops, I really ought to do that. Boom, boom. Okay, so we've got, yeah, we can do that. Side and angle. So we got side, angle, side. So that is why they're congruent. We've got side, angle, side. Now here's something that's really important. They've got to go in order. Side, angle, side. If it was side here, an angle there, and just that side, that would not guarantee that it's congruent. It's got to be in order. It's got to be 1, 2, 3. Okay. So in that case, side, angle, side, you got that one correct. Now, okay. So you said no on this. Why did you say that these are not congruent? Besides the fact that you talked to one of your friends.
Because the marks were like in different places.
Okay. That is sort of right, but it doesn't have to do with any of our theorems, okay? What I do here, if the angles are the same, okay? Now, if I make this bigger, right? The angle dimensions don't change, right? But the sides do. And what did we learn in the first part of when we first started talking about this? that in order for triangles to be congruent, they have to have the same dimension sides and they have to have the same dimension angles. So in this case, right, we know that this angle right here, right, is congruent to this one, all right? And the 3 tick marks is congruent to this one. And the right angle is congruent to this one. But as you can see, I can make it bigger. And now this side, right, the one between 2 tick marks and 3 tick marks, that might be there, okay? And 2 tick marks and 3 tick marks, that's smaller. See how they're not congruent? We can't rely on angle, angle, angle. That's not a postulate, okay? So angle, angle, angle is not congruent. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
You understand why? Because I made that bigger, all right? Now, let's come down here. Okay. So you answered yes here. Side, 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 right?
Uh-huh.
Why would this not be congruent? Do we have any common sides?
Yeah.
Well, which ones are common here?
The one on the top and the one on the bottom.
But it doesn't give us any tick marks, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know that, correct? Now, we do know that vertical angles, right, are congruent. And then we've got 1 tick mark and 1 tick mark, right? This one right here and this one right here, okay? So we've got that angle's congruent. Then we got 2 tick marks here and 2 tick marks here. That angle's congruent. And we know that 3 and 3 is congruent, right? But we don't have any information on sides, right? So essentially we have an angle, angle, angle. And what do we know about angle, angle, angle?
That they're not congruent.
They're not congruent, even though they look like they could be without the tick marks. Kinski, you got me on mute?
I do?
Oh, I think you did. So does that make sense? You got 2 tick marks and 2 tick marks. What's that tell you about those sides?
That they're common?
They're congruent, right?
Yeah.
2 ticks, correct? Now,
Correct.
what does the angle tick mark here and the angle tick mark there say? We got 1 and 1, correct? What's that tell you?
That they're congruent.
They're also congruent, right? So that's an angle, correct? And
Correct.
then what do we have here? That right there, what's that?
Side.
And you think that that's congruent?
Yeah.
And why is it congruent?
That is it because of the tick marks?
Well, in this case, we don't have tick marks, right? But we've got a common side between the two triangles, correct?
Correct.
So essentially we have angle side, SAS. Does that make sense? Side,
Yes.
angle, side.
Yeah.
All right. Makes sense to you, Star?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Now let's take a look at this one. Who can tell me? Oh, what parts of these two triangles are congruent?
The side.
Which sides?
The one that they share.
Okay, definitely the one that they share. Okay, so this line right here, right? That is definitely one that they share. Okay, so that's a side, correct? And I'll just mark that over here. That's a side. Okay. Now, are there any other congruent sides? Look at the tick marks.
Yeah.
Which one?
The ones that have one tick mark and the ones that have two.
Okay, so this and this, right? So we got a side there, and then we got this and this, right? So we got side, 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 and we go back to what we were testing for. We were testing for side angle side or side, side, side. So in this case, side, side, side. All right, that is our congruent. All right, so go back over here. Boom. All right. And you answered side, side, side. But again, it's multiple choice. And it sounds to me like you might have guessed. But you now know because of this and this, side, side, and a common side. That's that. All right. So that's 8-2. Now, 8-3. I'll just briefly go over this. Kinski, you got a 5 on it, which is really good. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so, all right. Again, here we're using angle, angle, side, and angle, side, angle. All right. And, oh, my mouse just went crazy. Come on, come on. So, tell me what parts of this triangle are, bear with me one second. What parts of this triangle are congruent?
The angle at the top.
Which one? Here?
Yeah,
And how come?
because they both have the two tick marks.
2 tick marks. Good. So that's an angle. All right. And what else?
The one at the bottom.
Okay. Because they have what?
One tick mark.
All right. And what other parts of this triangle would be congruent?
The other angles.
Well, we don't know that yet, but
The side.
is it this side, or this side?
The shared one.
The shared one. Good. So we've got an angle, we've got a side, we've got an angle. All right. And we've got two different postulates we're looking at, or two different theorems, right? So it's angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. Boom, boom, boom. Make sense? All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's look here. What parts of these are congruent?
The 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 top angles,
Yep.
the ones on the left and the right,
Yeah.
and then the shared side.
And then the shared side. So that is angle, angle, side. Okay. So here we got angle, angle, and then we've got a side that is common. Kinski, you're getting this. You're getting it. All right. Oh, let's see. This one's going to be a little bit difficult. I think maybe you get it. What do we know about vertical angles?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, these are vertical angles right here, okay? This and this and this and this, okay? So since we know that vertical angles are congruent, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got angles that are congruent. We've got an angle. We got one tick mark here. We got one tick mark there, right? Boom. And then we've got a side here, right? So we've got A, S, right? And therefore they are congruent. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. And here we've got side, angle, side, right? And we don't have a postulate for that. Okay, so you said that they're not congruent. You're correct. And here we've got what parts of this triangle are congruent?
The the bottom and the top, and then the shared side.
And the shared side, ASA, angle, side, angle. Last one, all right? So, oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me, you get a 5 there on 8.2, and you get a 100 here. Okay, and and make sure, Star, remind me I gotta do your grades too. All right, I'm gonna correct them. I'm
right.
gonna give you I'm gonna give you hundreds for doing this. So hypotenuse line, I got one more here. All right. So this one right here. Let's go speed grader. Open link in new tab. One more important thing for you guys to realize. All right, so let me take this out. Whenever you're given whenever you have a triangle that has a right angle, okay? See that right angle right there? Going back to
Yeah.
vertical angles, what dimension do you think that this angle is here? If that's a right angle there, what do you think this is?
A right angle.
Right angle, okay. Now, the hypotenuse is the side to the other opposite opposite the right angle, okay? So that's the hypotenuse. And we can see that's got 2 and that's got 2. So they're the same size. Now, the theorem that we're talking about here is hypotenuse leg. So we know we've got a hypotenuse, right? Because we have a right angle. A right angle, all right, if it's right, okay, we know we have a hypotenuse, all right? So whenever you see the right angle, you're probably looking for hypotenuse leg. Now, what do we know about this side and this side? One tick and one tick. What does that mean?
They're congruent.
They're congruent, okay? So this right here and this right here, those are the legs, okay? So we got the hypotenuse there, and we've got a leg, and we've got a right triangle. So hypotenuse leg makes it congruent. So that one is congruent, all right? And you answered that, hypotenuse leg, it's congruent. Here, look, we got a hypotenuse, okay? We've got right angles. We've got a hypotenuse, which is the same side, and we've got a leg that shows that it is congruent. Hypotenuse leg, all right? Oh, why are these not congruent?
Because if you make it bigger, then the sides are going to be like different.
Correct, but let me ask you this. If I take these and I was to give it to you this way, right? And I was to say that, whoops, this, if I was to put one tick mark on these legs, you think that would be congruent?
Yes.
Yes. How come?
Because of the hypotenuse leg thing.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. If it gave you the tick marks, it would be hypotenuse leg. But in this case, we've got the hypotenuse piece, but they did not tell us anything about the legs. All right, because there's no tick marks. So as you know, I could make the other triangle slightly bigger. You can't just go on visually what it looks like. You've got to see these tick marks. That's the key. All right. And oh, right here, we got hypotenuse. Oh, let's see. Actually, so the hypotenuses are congruent, but we also have a common side, which is the leg. And that right there is why this is hypotenuse leg. All right. So we are about done. Okay. Now, what I would do, all right, guys, is I would take this information right here. In fact, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to see if I can send it to you via chat. No, that's not the one I wanted. Hold on. Let's go back here. Actually, I can do it right from here. Where are my assignments? Liberal arts. I'm giving you guys the ability to use your notes, which I fully expect you to do. All right. Let me just take a screenshot of this. So, and here, so we've got this, we've got this, we've got angle, side, we've got angle, side, angle, and we've got hypotenuse leg. Don't worry about that. All right. And I'm going to paste this in here. Let's, Okay. All right, so I just sent you a photo of that in the chat. Okay, I'll show you what I did there. And let me see if I can. I'll delete that one. Yeah, so you've got side angle, side, 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 angle, angle, side, angle, and hypotenuse leg. Make sure you guys write those down before you retake this this test.
Yeah, I wrote them down.
Okay, and then remember, when we have congruent sides, opposite angles are going to be the same. In this case, we've got congruent sides, and we're solving for x, right? So we're just going to set these equal. If I were you guys, I'd take a screenshot of that. All right. And here, again, we've got congruent sides, which means our opposite angles are congruent, right? And the angles of a triangle add up to 180. All right. So now let me come back into gradebook and Kinski. So you've got 100, 100, 100, 100 for this unit. All right. Now what I want you to do is go back in and do the test. All right. I think you're going to see your score is going to go up, and I'm automatically going to give you 5 points on top of whatever you get.
Okay.
All right. Now, Star, I need to adjust yours, right?
Yes.
So we got Star and okay. Oops. Let's see, 100 and 100. Okay. So Star, you should be all set. Go ahead and work on, you can now do the test, all right? If you guys have any problems, send me a message, and I'll work through it. But thank you very much for jumping on here with me, and let your friends know in the class that I'll do this with them. I'll walk them through it. Oh, and let me take a look at something real quick. Annalise. Oh, Starsha, you don't know Annalise, do you?
No.
She's in fourth period. Estefani. What's that?
I'll ask Valerio and Jill.
Yeah, ask those guys. I'm looking like Annalise. She's completely disappeared. Estefani is an ESOL student, so she's not able to get in right now. Who else is in your class? Cheyenne, which I've been in touch with. Diana Macias is what it is. Kinski, you don't happen to have Aaliyah's cell phone number, do you? I know she's new.
No.
Aaliyah, she's the new girl from what's called Charleston, South Carolina. She hasn't been logging in either. So anyway, we've only got a month of this to go. Good work, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And anybody, again, if anybody else wants to do this, let them know. Hey, listen, Mr. Ferraro will walk you through it, and it'll help you out. Help you out with your grades. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
All right.
You too.
Bye bye.